Okay, so now we look at the last subtopic in chapter growth, which are subtopic 10.3, which is growth pattern. Okay, so for growth pattern, there are 5 growth pattern that you have to know. The first one is called limited growth curve that occurs in annual plant. Second, unlimited growth curve that occurs in perennial plant. And then third, isometric growth curve for the example fish. Number 4, allometric growth for the example in human organ. Another one, intermittent growth curve for the example in arthropods and insect. Okay, so first of all, kita tengok dulu limited growth curve and unlimited growth curve. So basically kalau dalam soalan biasanya dia akan minta awak differentiate what is limited and also unlimited growth curve. So kita tengok dulu untuk limited growth curve. So limited growth curve refers to the growth of an organism that occurs until a steady maximum size is achieved or growth is complete when organism achieve its maximum size. Maksudnya bila berlakunya growth of an organism and then the growth is reach its maximum size, okay, so maksudnya the growth is not occur anymore. Growth tu akan berhenti. So ni yang kita panggil sebagai limited growth curve. Okay, or limited growth curve also we call as definite or determined growth. Okay, and then for limited growth curve, the growth does not continue throughout the life. So relatively, it is short lifespan. Maksudnya growth tak akan berlaku sepanjang hidup dia. So bila dia dah achieve maximum size, so what happen to the organism? Organism growth is stopped. Okay, so the example, most plant and animals including human. Maksudnya most plant and animal, it will shows the limited growth curve. Okay. And then it will also occurs in annual plant. For the example, pea plant, which is its scientific name is Pisum sativa. So the growth can be shown in a single sigmoid curve. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini, okay, so this is the curve shows by the limited growth curve. Okay, so dekat sini ni adalah the curve that represent of annual plants. Okay, so contohnya di sini adalah pea plant ataupun Pisum sativa. So kalau kita tengok based on the graph, okay, kita akan nampak at the beginning of the graph dia akan decline dekat sini. So initial decrease in weight due to respiration of store food in seed. Okay, so maksudnya dekat sini adanya berlaku initial decrease in weight. Kenapa boleh berlakunya initial decrease in weight? Because due to the respiration of store food in seed. Okay, tapi kalau awak tengok dekat sini, okay, after first week of germination, there is a large increase in dry mass. Okay, because first leaf emerge and start photosynthesis. So bila dah berlakunya ataupun bila dah terbentuknya first leaf, so dah berlakunya proses photosynthesis. So what happened to the growth? Growth is rapidly occur. Okay, and then what happened here? Okay, so at the end here, kalau kita tengok di sini, the final decrease in weight due to dispersal of seed. So maksudnya di sini adalah once the growth is already reach its maximum, so what happened to the growth? It will stop and decline. So kalau kita tengok based on the concept of annual plant here, kenapa dia akan decline? Because of there is a dispersal of seed. Okay, so apa bezanya dengan unlimited growth curve? Okay, so unlimited growth curve is also known as indefinite or indeterminate or continuous growth. Okay, so it will grow and reproduce for many years. Okay, and then for this organism that shows unlimited growth curve, relatively it has long lifespan. So kalau kita compare dengan limited growth curve tadi, okay, kalau untuk limited growth curve, relatively it has short lifespan. Tapi kalau untuk unlimited growth curve, it is relatively has long lifespan. And then plant has no maximum fixed size or no growth limit. Okay, because of what? The growth will be continue throughout its life. Okay, so it will continue to grow until they are restricted by environmental factor. Contohnya such as presence of parasite, natural predator. Okay, maksudnya kalau misalnya it will influenced by environmental factor, so it can stop the growth. So selagi tak ada faktor daripada environment, so the plants will continue to grow. So that's why kita panggil sebagai unlimited growth curve. So the example for plant that shows the unlimited growth curve is cengal, meranti and also perennial plant. Okay, and then kalau kita tengok based on the growth curve, it will consist of a series of sigmoid curve. So ni adalah series of sigmoid curve. Okay, and then each sigmoid represent 1 year growth. So setiap sigmoid ni akan mewakili 1 year growth. And then it will shows increase in size or mass. So kalau kita tengok dekat sini, bila kita plotkan in between high against time, okay, so for unlimited growth curve, it will shows a series of sigmoid curve, and then each sigmoid dia akan represent 1 year growth. Okay. Okay, and also for unlimited growth curve, for plants that shows the unlimited growth curve, it will corresponding to 4 season. Okay, so during spring and autumn, moderate rate of photosynthesis and small increase in the growth of plant. Maksudnya during spring and autumn, so dia akan berlaku moderate rate of photosynthesis and small increase in the growth of plant. But during summer, it has high rate of photosynthesis and large increase in growth of plants. But during winter, it has low rate of photosynthesis and minimum growth. Okay, so the example of plants that correspond to this 4 season, dari segi dia punya growth bergantung kepada 4 season ni, contohnya adalah oak, walnut and also pines. Okay, so now we look at isometric growth and also allometric growth. Okay, so first of all, we look at isometric growth first. So what is isometric growth? Growth of an organism within the organs grow at the same rate. The keyword here is at the same rate with the other parts of the body. So the relative size of the organ is constant. Okay, so what is the meaning? Size of the organ increase, but the external features remain the same. Maksudnya kalau kita tengok di sini, shape remain unchanged with the increase in size. Okay, so the relative proportion of the organs and the whole body remains the same. So the example of the organism that shows isometric growth is fish and also cockroach. Okay, so kalau awak tengok based on this diagram, so kalau kita tengok dekat sini, dia akan kalau untuk organism that shows the isometric growth, dia akan berlaku increasing in size, but the external features remain the same. Okay, so yang ni yang kita katakan sebagai growth of an organism within the organ grow at the same rate with the other parts of the body. Okay, so cuma berlaku pertambahan dari segi size sahaja, tetapi external features ataupun shape remains the same. Okay, so what is the difference with allometric growth? So for allometric growth, organ grow at different rate. So the keyword here is different rate from the rest of the body, and then it will involve the change in size and external features of the organism, and then it will show the correlation between the growth and development of the organism. So example for allometric growth is human organ. So kalau kita tengok based on the graph here, okay, so this is the size attained as percentage of total growth against time from birth or years. Okay, so kalau kita tengok dekat sini, based on graph, dia ada menunjukkan bahawa berlakunya development of head here, lymphoid tissue, and the other one is reproductive organ. So yang ni yang kita katakan sebagai organ grow at different rate from the rest of body. Maksudnya dia grow secara rate yang berbeza. Okay, so kalau kita tengok the first one, the head grow rapidly in the first 5 years after birth. So di sini, okay, in the first 5 years after birth, the head will grow rapidly. Okay, but thereafter, there is no grow much. Okay, so head of baby is much larger to the rest of body as compared to adult. Maksudnya for the first 5 years, yang akan develop dulu adalah head. Okay, yang akan grow rapidly adalah head. Okay, and then next is lymphoid tissue. So lymphoid tissue which produce white blood cell to overcome infection grow rapidly from birth to adolescent, and the size decrease to half its maximum size by adult stage. Maksudnya adalah pada kita katakan starting daripada from birth sampailah adolescent, so the lymphoid tissue, okay, will grow rapidly. Kenapa lymphoid tissue will grow rapidly? Because of what? This is because the risk of infection is higher in early life as immunity has not been acquired. Okay, and then next is reproductive organ. So reproductive organ grow slowly in early life but rapidly at puberty. So reproductive organ reach its maturity during puberty. So that's why kalau kita tengok di sini, okay, each of the organ will grow at different rate. Mula-mula akan berlaku dulu rapidly grow of head and then lymphoid tissue, okay, and then next is reproductive organ. So reproductive organ will grow rapidly at puberty, okay, because the individual is already reached its maturity. Okay, so now we look at the last growth pattern, which are intermittent growth curve. So what is intermittent growth curve? It is discontinuous growth. Okay, and then it will occur in insect and other arthropods that undergo metamorphosis. Okay, so kenapa kita katakan dia sebagai discontinuous growth? Because the growth is limited by hard exoskeleton during certain period until ecdysis or molting process take place. Okay, so the growth for organism that shows intermittent growth curve is limited by hard exoskeleton. Okay, so macam mana dia akan berlaku growth? Okay, until ecdysis or molting process take place. Okay, and then the growth occurs very suddenly at rapid pace or rate of movement. So it will produce a step-like growth curve. So kalau awak tengok based on this graph, okay, nampak saja the graph that shows step-like growth curve like this. So this one yang kita panggil sebagai intermittent growth curve. Okay, and then each stage in between ecdysis is known as instar. Okay, so ni adalah ecdysis ataupun molting. So what is ecdysis? Ecdysis is the process of changing of the old exoskeleton of arthropod. Okay, so it will replace with new soft layer and later becomes hardened again. So setiap point di sini yang saya tandakan di sini, so ni kita panggil sebagai ecdysis ataupun molting. So each stage between ecdysis here, so ini kita panggil sebagai instar. So kalau kita tengok based on this graph here, so dia ada first, second, this is first instar, second instar, third instar, fourth instar and fifth instar. Okay, so remember for intermittent growth curve, since the growth is limited by hard exoskeleton, okay, so it will shows a step-like growth curve like this. Okay.